My name is Marzia, co-founder of Plant Chicks, and welcome to today's live. We are going to live to 100. You're probably like, what? So today we are going to do a couple recipes from the Blue Zone. So have you ever heard of the Blue Zones? It's where the longest living tribes lived to 100. So let me tell you a little backstory. This is the Blue Zone Kitchen book. You can see it on the carousel below. There are a series of the Blue Zones. So let me explain what the Blue Zone is. The Blue Zone is areas in the world where centenarians, people that live to 100, are the healthiest. They have the most centenarians, and these centenarians, that's a hard word to say, it's like a tongue twister. And these people that live to 100, they have no chronic illnesses or diseases. They don't even wear eyeglasses like we do here in the US after 50 or 40. So this is actually very fascinating. And Dan Buettner, he was a photographer for National Geographic, and he went all over the world photographing amazing people and places for National Geographic. And what he noticed was that these older people that lived in these tribes, they actually had long lifespans, they were super healthy, they were not living with chronic illnesses and diseases like the US. So think about this. How do you want to live the last 10 or 20 years of your life? Here in America, unfortunately, over 65% of the US, they die of heart disease. So it's pretty staggering, the amount of people. But 65% of the US is overweight, 36% is obese, and the #1 killer in America is heart disease. But in these tribes, and I would say all over the world, I wouldn't say just specifically tribes, there are areas like Greece, Sardinia, Italy, and places like that are in Europe they live to 100. It's not really a tribe, but it's a community of people. And what's fascinating about them, there's a good show I want you guys to watch. Check it out. It's with Zac Efron and Darren Olean, and it's called, I can't remember now. It's escaped me. I'll have to remember what it is. Jackie, she's moderating the group. If you know what it is, can you please put it on the comments? But Zac Efron, if you go on Netflix, and Darren Olean, they went all around the world looking for these superfoods. They were hunting superfoods, and they were doing it from an economical and I would say eco-friendly type point of view, like what these cities are doing to conserve energy, how their practices are for the environment, what they're eating. And Dan Buettner is right along the lines of that as well. So he wrote a few books, and this happens to be the Blue Zone Kitchens. And he went around the world, took all the recipes where these tribes lived to 100, and put them in a book. So if you don't have the cookbook, it's on the carousel below. You'll have to check it out. They're so good. I've also read the Blue Zone Happiness. He found out too, while these centenarians lived to 100 healthy, that he found out little tips and tricks how you can live healthy and happy to 100. So I actually put the Blue Zone Happiness in there. It's really good, great stories, it will perk you up. Even this cookbook is like a book in itself. They have all these amazing stories on these tribes, and he just photographs amazing people. I mean, I wouldn't put it past him, but obviously having great photography, but he's actually in some of the pictures interviewing some of the longest living tribes in the world. So the Blue Zones are where it's at. I live here in Austin, Texas, and it's a pretty, I would say, people love nature, they're outdoorsy, but guess where there's a Blue Zone in Texas? You'll never guess this, it blew me away. Fort Worth, Texas is considered a Blue Zone. So we have actually a couple here, one in California, one in Fort Worth. There's all these zonings they have to do, which your city will qualify, or your, I would say city or county will qualify for a Blue Zone. So it's actually pretty cool. So we actually have a Blue Zone here in Texas. Who knew? Okay, so we can't live to 100 here in Texas. I'm going to create 2 recipes from this book. Usually you guys join me on the show and I do 4 plant-based recipes in an hour, and I show you how easy meal prep is. And this is no different, but I'm actually doing 2 this time. And I'm going to take my time as I go through this to explain some of the food, the ingredients, and the why. Sometimes people just mindlessly eat, and we want you to be mindful while you eat. I know you came here for the cooking, but it's also like a little workshop all rolled into one. This is what we do here at Plant Chicks. So if you want to follow us, then hit the follow button below. And if you're new to Amazon, there's a carousel below. You can get all the books that I'm talking about. Any of the stuff that I'm cooking with, because people always ask when I do a Facebook Live or different live, where'd you get that? Where'd you get that? Where'd you get that? Well, guess what? You can get it right below in the carousel. Another question people ask me as well is, what are you wearing? I wear active living, workout clothes for a living, just being a health coach. It's one, pretty comfortable. I actually change twice a day. One of my workout clothes when I work out, and number two, to sit at my desk when I do my coaching calls or cook in the kitchen like right now. So you can get this outfit in the carousel below as well. It is coming on winter right now. So right now it is September. Even though it's super, super hot in Texas, it actually hit 65 degrees today. So it's 65 here in Austin, Texas. Pretty chilly. I refuse to think summer's over. I feel like summer just begun, haven't you? I mean, this is kind of crazy. So I am wearing a hot pink shirt, neon yellow tights. I got my summer colors on, but I will be creating 2 winter dishes for you. So let me tell you something. When it comes when it's chilly outside, you're wearing a sweater, you know, and you're in your house, you have the fireplace on, there's nothing more comforting than a yummy, delicious stew, right? Or a soup. And then you can just soak your bread and eat it. Oh, love that. So I'm going to create 2 recipes for you. One is going to be a stew, like a stoop soup, and the other one is going to be a salad, but it's a winter salad because this is coming on fall. So in the blue zones, the first one we're going to make is going to be a winter minestrone. So in Sardinia, they have 2 types of minestrone soup. They have a fall one, like fall winter, and a spring summer. They actually have 2. I didn't know that until I read this book. I thought it was pretty amazing. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to create the winter one from this book for you guys because we are coming on fall. I know for some of us, it's actually really, really chilly, but for others, we're still like, we're having a cold wave, but it's going to pass and it'll get back hot again. So let's go ahead and create this. Let me grab the recipes. I printed them off because I created recipes from this book, but I haven't created these 2 specific recipes, and I thought, why not do it with you, right? All right, so I'm gonna put this over here to the side. So the first one is the minestrone, the winter minestrone soup by Sardinia, Italy. This is one of their staples. Now, what I like about a soup and a stew is usually back in the day, I would put it on the stove and cook it for hours, right? Hour and a half, 2 hours. I mean, and if it's in a crock pot, it could be 8 hours in the day, right? You could just kind of set it, forget it. But with the invention of the Instant Pot, we can do this literally in 30 minutes. That easy, very easy. So the Instant Pot I have is on the carousel below. This right here is my favorite thing. I love it because if you're like me, I live a busy lifestyle and I love healthy in a hurry. It has to be healthy, fast, less ingredients. How can I throw it together? But it's still going to nourish and heal me and provide me the nutrients that I need going into my work day, right? So what you're watching right now, this is actually going to be my husband and I's lunch today. So, and we're going to have this since we'll have ample leftover. We're also going to have this for lunch. So this is also a great recipe to make for meal prep because it's very hearty, has all your healthy nutrients in there and tons of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients from the vegetables I'm about to go through. Okay, so let's start this. So we are going to start off with red beans. Another thing about living to 100 is, and what these tribes have in common, is that they eat a lot of beans. So we are going to put beans into here. So that was red beans. Then we have chickpeas. So you can have put actually any combination of beans. I'm actually going to follow the recipe for the first time, but just know this, you don't have to be exact to the recipe at all. So try to do what you can. Like if you don't like chickpeas, use a different bean, right? So a lot of people are like, well, I don't like the recipe because it has 1, 2, 3. Guess what? That's the beauty about cooking. And that's the beauty about having food freedom is you get to change the ingredients and make it slightly yours. But for this recipe, I'm going to follow it. There's one thing I did change. It said fava beans. I couldn't find fava beans anywhere, so I replaced it with black-eyed peas. I like black-eyed peas. Okay, so we have 3 types of beans in there. I put red beans, chickpeas, and black-eyed peas. And the beans I have today are by Eden Organics. Now you can make this from dry, you just gotta soak them, but if you're like me, you want healthy in a hurry, you open up a can of beans and there you go. This is what I typically do. I will rinse them off in a strainer and then put them in here. But if I have time to cook beans, I will, but most of the times, let's get real, I don't have time to cook beans from scratch. Can of beans it is. Just make sure it's organic, non-BPA free liner inside, so that way it's a little healthier for you, okay? So that's the type of beans that I use. We are going to use 1 onion, put that in there. And this is about a cup of everything, a cup of beans, a cup of onions. I'll put 3 different beans, so there's 3 cups of beans. And then right here we have some tomatoes, all these nutrients, and to give it flavor. We have celery, love me some celery. Okay, so the recipe called for 2 cloves of garlic. Come on, who uses just 2 cloves of garlic? If you follow me, my garlic is about big as my palm. Or I put in actually 6. For this big pot, I'm gonna need more than 2 cloves of garlic. So I'm like, measure that stuff with your heart. My heart is telling me I need about 6 cloves. So, yes, I probably will have garlic breath, maybe, maybe not, but oh well, it's for my husband to find out. Okay, so I have chives. So I have fresh chives. And I put in here about a 1/4 cup of fresh chives. Here's the thing about cooking to live to 100. As you see, I'm putting fresh ingredients, maybe not the canned beans, but that's a different story. But for the most part, I'm using fresh ingredients, and that's what living to 100 is all about. It's about plant diversity and putting all these different vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that are healing, that have a ton of fiber in your food. So that's the beauty of this. So me making this, it just makes me happy to see all the colors of the different beans, the vegetables, everything I'm putting here, even the chives. I'm not using dried chives. You're more than welcome to use dried. I try to keep it fresh. Went to Whole Foods, they had chives, got some fresh organic chives, cut it up, put them in there. Okay, so next up we have squash. This what makes it winter, right? The squash. Now what I like about squash is just the flavor, the heartiness. It's like, you know, just soft when it's steamed in a stew, but it's still like thick, and it brings that heartiness to the soup. And right here we have a yellow squash. This is what it looks like, you know, kind of skinny and funny. I actually put 2 large ones in there. This is a little small one that I have that I'll be using. And then we have right here pasta. So of course what makes minestrone, you gotta have a little pasta in there. So you can choose whatever pasta that you want. I personally love this brand from Jovial. It's this organic gluten-free pasta. It doesn't have to be gluten-free, it's up to you. For the most part, I try to eat gluten-free. I just feel better that way. And so this pasta, Jovial, tastes like the real thing. It tastes like just like a wheat pasta. It is so delicious. Anything from this brand. I actually have the penne pasta. It called for that type of noodle. And this is actually just 1 cup. So, and you guys, it's not a lot of pasta. So when you have the stew, you just have all these vitamins, minerals, and nutrients from your vegetables, herbs, and spices, and a little hint of some fun food, which is our pasta. The Sardinians know how to do it. Okay, so it calls for, over here, okay, so we have our tomatoes, garlic, celery. Okay, they said fennel. So you guys, fennel, I wish you guys could smell this. It has like a licorice type of smell or taste. I just love the taste of fennel. So this is what's gonna be there. Okay, if you have not had fennel, it is a pretty strong taste. So you don't wanna put too much, even though this recipe called for, this is what fennel looks like. It called for 2 of these. I'm like, that may be a little bunch. So I'm gonna keep this one for a salad that I'm doing. But I will put 1 cup in here to see how I like it and how I cook up. I'm gonna go ahead and grab a little glass of water. That taste, I mean, I'm telling you, it's almost licoricey. It's kind of strong, but it tastes really good. It tastes great in a salad, it tastes great in a stew. In a stew, it tastes different than it does in a salad. So just know that a fennel tastes different cooked than it does fresh. Fresh that I ate just now, it's a bigger flavor. When it's in the stew, it has less flavor. It's kind of interesting, but it works that way. But I didn't want to put 2 in, so I just put 1. Okay, this is rainbow chard, so it asked for a couple handfuls, a couple cups of any kind of chard, Swiss chard. I like rainbow. I don't know if you can see this from there, but the colors of it, there's orange, there's yellow, there's, you know, red, looks like a beet color. Has tons of vitamins, again, minerals, nutrients, phytonutrients, all this yummy goodness goes in here. Look at this. So think about what I like about this. Look at this vitamin, or not Vitamix, my Instant Pot. This is all this yummy goodness. So what you just saw, I put some beans and vegetables, vegetable herbs, spices. I have, you know, the greens in there. So this is a really, really hearty stew. So this is what my husband and I are gonna have for lunch, and I can't wait. Okay, then it asks for potatoes. I'm actually gonna cut the potatoes right in front of you. Make it easy. We can chat a little bit about living to 100. So you guys, think about this. What are you doing today where you will be healthy tomorrow? Think about these things. Because if you are leading a life of crap, calorie-rich and processed food, you're probably not going to be as healthy if you've lived off 20, 30, 40, 50 years of processed foods. Now, I'm not saying you have to be 100%, because at Plant Chicks, we say 90% whole foods and then 10% soul foods, and that can include processed foods. We want to make sure we just fuel ourselves. Especially the older you get, over 40, you really have to be careful what you eat. I started seeing, you know, signs of inflammation from different things that I was eating. Obviously processed foods like pizza, you know, even those vegan burgers, those Beyond burgers. It's like, you see these things, right? And you're like, this probably isn't this healthy for me. But you know, sometimes as a kid, we're so used to eating these foods that when we get, as an adult, one day we wake up and we're adulting and we're like, oh wait, I can't eat this stuff anymore. I'm 45, what the heck happened, right? So sometimes you don't know. I started minimizing my processed food when I was about 32, and it hit me one day because I was eating a bunch of stuff and I was drinking. I was just had a really crazy, you know, mindless. And I wasn't educated in this, you know, type of lifestyle. And that's okay. This is what we do. We learn from each other as we go on the journey of life. And let me tell you, I didn't like to cook before. I like to go through a drive-through or order out. And as I became plant-based, I've learned to cook more and more, and be creative and try new things. I would never have tried something like this 10 or 15 years ago if you had asked me. Being plant-based for 11 years, I'm open to these options because this type of food makes me feel good. So you guys just really keep an open mind. Know that your taste buds take 7 or 8 times before you try something new to really like it, really adapt to it. So don't give up on that. So if you don't like something now, you might like it later. Like I never used to like Brussels sprouts, but I like them now. So we're just gonna go ahead and just mix some of this a little bit. So we have potatoes, pasta, tons of vegetables, garlic and herbs. And I will take a picture of this and post it so you guys can see it, because this is just, you can see the colors, makes me so happy. It's so beautiful. This is life, you guys. Plant-based food is life. So I just put a potato and a half in there. I think that's going to be good. And then it asks for veggie broth. So you can put low sodium or regular. And my grocery store did not have low sodium. I usually like to cook in low sodium. Didn't have it, so I'm actually going to put regular one in. Just has higher sodium. So if you're worried about like a chronic illness like high blood pressure, I recommend that you do not do the regular one, a veggie broth, do the low sodium, right? Or you can just use water, right? And you can, when you get it out, you can put as much sea salt as you want on it. So just know that you have control of your ingredients. We do have clients that have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, you know, diabetes, and like, what can I do? So we are here to help you create recipes even though they're high carb, but they're attached to fiber, which it makes it lower glycemic, but we know a lot of type 1 diabetics that eat high carb as well. But it's about healing your body through food. And I mean, these people that live to 100, they know what they're talking about. So this is like the meals of how to live to 100. So I'm like, if that's what it takes, that's what I'm gonna do. Because think about it. In the beginning of your life, you're just learning. But once you know, right? Me being 45 right now, I want to live the last half of my life healthier than I did the first half. So the first half is about learning, trial and errors, and this half is about taking action, implementing healthier foods, getting more sleep, getting sunshine, just basic things. I think people want to complicate health and fitness, and really it's about being basic. Remember, they make fun of those basic bitches. It's really good to be a basic bitch these days. Let's go back to basics, right? This is what we're about here. It's about eating food natural from the earth, getting sunshine, getting some sleep, community, connection. You guys are here. I would love to see you in person, have you guys sit at my table while I cook for you. But obviously we're doing this COVID thing right now, this pandemic. But one day we will do another sit-down dinner, because that's what we do at Plant Chicks. We love to have live events, we love to cook, experience meals, have that community, and just learn from each other. That's how you grow as a human. Just like water, you put it into a plant and it grows. That's what human needs. We need community, we need the basic stuff. So being a basic bitch is good for you. Tell you, that's how you get healthy. Okay, so I'm looking at this. I might add, where's the little thing right here? A little bit more water to this. So now that I have, okay, if you want to know, these are 6 cups. And I actually one had 6 cups. This one only had a couple. So I'm going to add another cup in here. And don't be afraid to add water. It's not going to change it. So I'm going to add 2 cups of water. So I think total is like 10 or 11 cups of water. And there you have it. Now, I personally do not like to cook with oil or salt. I like to add these type of things after the fact. So I'm going to cook the stew without salt, and so when it's done, I'm going to plate it, and my husband can add as much salt as he wants, salt and pepper. I will do the same. What's beautiful about these soups and these stews, let me talk to you about sourdough bread. Sourdough bread is some of the healthiest bread you can have, some of the cleanest. You can make sourdough bread from, people will take part of a bread, freeze it in their freezer, and take the yeast from it and create a bread, and the bread can be 100 years old. It's fascinating about sourdough. So before I used to stay away from bread, but now I'm like, you know what, it's okay to have a little bread. That's one of those soul foods that you need. If I'm gonna have bread, it needs to be at least healthier if I'm eating it with a healthy meal. Not to say pizza, no, that's a different story, but we're saying if we're trying to nourish and heal our bodies and you want a piece of bread, the sourdough bread is the great bread to soak this up. Okay, so if you want, this is actually pretty heavy. So for this instant pot, I put it in the carousel below. Just make sure, a couple rule of thumb on the Instant Pot, I always put the lid on first and make sure it's sealed, plug it last. So it's sealed up right here. Then I will plug it in. Oops. This thing's kind of hard. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I like to plug it in last. And my favorite setting, I use it for everything. Quinoa, steel cut oats, beans. I use one setting, it's kind of funny. It's called rice, the rice setting. It's 12 minutes, okay? I push rice, set it, forget it. So that's what I'm gonna do. It's already in the rice setting. I push, and that's all I have to do. And then I forget about it. So what I created here, obviously talking with you guys, it took a little bit longer, but just, you can just put like half can of beans here. Throw everything in. It literally takes less than maybe 5 minutes, and maybe 7 minutes tops. Throw it in there, push play, that's like almost 10 minutes. And this is great you can do for meal prep, because when you meal prep, you have ample food for later. And so this is gonna be really good. And now, here's another thing about meal prep. Instead of using your microwave, put it on the stove. Take the pan out. It takes 2 to 3 minutes to heat it up on the stove instead of using the microwave. It'll be way healthier that way. So that's what I do. So that's actually recipe number 1. Like, how easy was that? You literally watched me right in front of you throw everything in the Instant Pot. Very easy. It was very simple. It didn't require a lot of ingredients. And now when I say a lot of ingredients, people are like, I just saw you put 15 things. Now we're saying, like, it's not crazy ingredients. Like, you can get beans are easily accessible. You can get tomatoes and onions and garlic. That's kind of soups and stews. Okay, welcome back. Sorry guys, I had a phone call. Don't know what happened. Okay, so, okay, here we go with my little pupper again. Hey Keith, can you do me a favor? Can you get Paris? So my little pupper back there, she's going a little crazy. All right, but you just saw me put all these ingredients that are very healthy, nutritious, and delicious in the Instant Pot, and it's super easy. So there you go. All right, so next up on the list, let me go ahead and grab this. This is going to be super delicious. You guys, I'm actually excited to make this in front of you. I was flipping through and I'm like, what sounds delicious? What sounds good? And it turns out I found this because I'm still into summertime here in Austin. I'm still into salads because I like eating fresh whole foods like salads and stuff like that. So they have a winter potato salad. So this is a winter salad, super good for you. It's a hearty salad, all right? So I put in, I'm just gonna show you the 3 things I put in and explain it to you. So romaine hearts, I put romaine hearts in here. And you could make the salad as large or as small as you want. Remember, you are the creator of your own meal. So salad, then we have romaine salad, arugula. Arugula is delicious. I love the flavor and the bite from arugula. We got baby spinach. Baby spinach, of course, is delicious for you. So I have these 3 lettuces that are in here. Okay, so it asked for fresh cup of chopped dill. I actually got from Whole Foods, this right here. They come in these little clear packages, and basically I use the whole thing and I cut it up and sprinkled it in there. You guys, you know the flavor of fresh dill is like no other. I love me some fresh dill, so dill is good. And then let's see right here, we have onions. So I'm actually, since we're just cooking a salad, I'm going to cut the onion right in front of you. All right, where's the knife? Here we go. Got my 2 cutting boards. These cutting boards by OXO are totally my favorite. They're very durable. I've had them for a very long time. This is the oldest one because after years, probably like 15 years, it's kind of a little tingy, you know, went from white to like cream color because it's been so old, everything's been cut on. And this is my brand new one, but I feel like I always need 2 cutting boards, right? So here we go. When you cook a lot in the kitchen, you need to. So here's the thing about an onion. So it called for a white, sweet onion, but actually I like red onion better. So remember, you are the creator of your meals. You get to choose what you like. Hey, if you don't like onion, don't put onion, right? You just change it out to something else. Maybe add celery to it instead of onion if you still want that crunch, but you can't do onion. I'm going to add this purple onion. Do you know purple onions have more antioxidants than white onions? Yep. So just know that if your vegetable has color, there's a purpose for it. So the vegetables that have, you know, green, yellow, red, orange, there's always a purpose behind those vegetables. So we are going to add some purple onion to this. Love me some purple onion. All right. And you can add as much or as little onion that you want to it. Okay. green and this purple. I can't wait to taste this. And I think for me that's enough onion. I don't want it to be onion to death, you know, so to speak. It's asking for potatoes. So potatoes make this salad super hearty. So you wouldn't think about putting potatoes in your salad, but that's what they require in this recipe. That's how they eat it. So we are going to, I pre-cooked these at 425 for an hour. So they are ready to go and done. With potatoes, they have all these essential amino acids. And basically, the fiber is on the skin. So if you want to have a healthier salad, keep the skin on the potato. All right. So we're cutting this. So let me know, where are you guys from? I want to hear. Put it on the comments. Where are you guys from today? I actually from, well, a little bit of everywhere. I was an Air Force kid. Kind of moved all over the world. I lived in Spain for 7 years, and then came to the US, and I made my way to Dallas, Texas. I lived in Dallas, Texas for about 23 years, and then my husband got a job opportunity to move to Austin, and so now we are in Austin. So Austin, Texas. All right, you guys, I love me some potatoes. What's your favorite potato? Put it on the comments. I want to hear. Do you like russet? Do you like red? You know, I like to change it up. You can make, with this recipe too, you can do baby potatoes. Baby potatoes would be really, really, really good. I can just taste it now. Baby tomatoes. And you're just gonna eyeball how much you need. So you guys, my husband and I, we don't need to make a ton of stuff. There's only 2 of us. So you kind of learn how to create meals for 2 people. So you guys, I have to eat. It's my lunchtime. And you just pulled up a plate, or you pulled up a chair at my island kitchen. So just imagine that you're sitting at my island kitchen, and we're just chatting like old friends, and I'm creating this meal for you, because we're gonna live to 100 because we're basic bitches, right? We are living to 100. Okay, now with this, I'm about to make the dressing from this, but before I begin that, this salad right here with those potatoes and those different greens, the dill, dill and chives, will pair well with this sourdough bread. There's nothing like having a salad with some bread. And what I like to do with the sourdough is I like to toast it. So put it in the toaster, and, you know, until it's not super hard, but a little hard and crunchy. So it's almost like, basically you have kind of a crouton, a healthier crouton, so to speak. But I love, love, love. Let me tell you a fun fact about Spain. And when I lived in Spain, they always put salt on a salad, salt and pepper. They used 4 ingredients: olive oil, vinegar, salt and pepper. That's what they always put on salads, no matter what the salad was. That was staple. We literally bought huge things of olive oil. But now as I got older and I've learned through the science, olive oil can create inflammation in your arteries and is not as healthy as you think it is. Also, with having olive oil, if you're trying to lose weight, oil packs a punch when it comes to calories. 1 teaspoon of olive oil can have, 120 calories, and if you're really using 1 teaspoon, you might be using 3, 4, or 5. You could actually have 400 or 500 calories that come from healthy fat. So what you want to do is skip the oil, okay? Now I'm going to show you a little trick on skipping the oil, because you're probably going to be like, what? That's crazy. So we're going to make a salad dressing with these ingredients, just like the recipe calls for, and this is exactly what we used in Spain. Spain and Italy are obviously neighbors next door. So we have balsamic vinegar. Instead of olive oil, which I would have normally done, we are going to use the aquafaba from the garbanzo beans. Now this is a trick that I learned if you want to replace your oil in a salad. Somebody was like, I love the taste of oil. What can I get that's similar to oil or has that flavor. They just like the flavor of oil. And I found out this little trick, and I thought it was the most genius thing in the world. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. So this recipe calls for olive oil, but I'm replacing it with the juice of the chickpeas, aquafaba chickpeas, balsamic vinegar, Himalayan sea salt, and my pepper. So these are the 4 ingredients I will have for my dressing. Like, how interesting and crazy is that? So let me go ahead and grab, I have one of these little mason jars. This is what I like to put my dressing in. So I like to pre-make some dressing, and I never like to store my salads with dressing because it gets wilted. So if you've experienced that before, it doesn't taste very good and you've wasted a bunch of nutritious, delicious lettuce. So what I like to do is just grab it, put this in a dish, what I don't eat, and then have the dressing on the side. Whatever I plate for myself, I will pour the dressing on when I plate it. So just a little note, FYI, if you're like, oh, she poured this on her salad. You're watching right here what my husband and I are going to be eating for lunch. We're going to start with this winter potato salad, and then we're going to have the soup with some sourdough bread. Like, how delicious is that? I wish you guys were sitting on my island in the kitchen eating with me, because I'm making a lot of food right now. But the beauty about making a lot of food is you have leftovers. And if this is the first time making this type of meal, the second time you make it, you can see what you like from the first time. You can kind of compare notes, like, what do I like versus the other one, right? Do I want more fennel? Maybe I should have added more fennel. Like, you saw me look at that, and I know what fennel tastes like. I'm like, oh, maybe I should not add too much. We'll see. It may taste better with the extra fennel. I will know next time. A recipe is about creating and trying to do, you know, what works for you, or what recipes or what ingredients you have on hand. You're not always going to have every single ingredient on hand, or you might have to go to the store to get some. I went to look for fava beans. I couldn't find them anywhere. So I thought, you know what? I'll replace it with black-eyed peas. So just you just make that judgment call in your life. What is the best that you can do? As long as you're providing your body with nutrients, this is feel-good food. It's going to make you feel good. It's going to give you that energy that you need. This is a hearty salad. Now, if I want to make this heartier, I could add chickpeas, right? And extra protein. I could also, which I will have protein in that soup for sure, because the beans. I could add some avocado to it to give it some healthy fat. I could add tomatoes to it. So again, just because a recipe calls for a certain thing, doesn't mean you have to cook it exactly like that to the T. You could be the creator of your meal on what you decide. There's sometimes you're going to be allergic to something, or maybe you just don't like the ingredient. Again, plug it in and feel free to change it. But this book right here, it shows so many beautiful pictures of people around the world that are living to 100 healthy. Like it's from Sardinia, Okinawa, Nicoya, Icaria, and Loma Linda. So Sardinia is in Italy. Okinawa is obviously in Japan, in Asia. I think it's in Japan, right? Asia. Nicoya, that's in Nicaragua. Icaria is in Greece. And Loma Linda is here in the US, California. So Loma Linda is in California. But it has all these meals, how they make it, and guess what? The longest living tribes to 100, they eat carbs. They all eat carbs. Bread. They eat these. So don't fear carbs. Carbs are your friend. It's the right carbs, right? Most people think of carbs, they lump them all into one category. Like all carbs are bad. No. You want to make sure your carbohydrate is in the form of fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, grains, and it's attached to fiber. So just think about that, all right? Your carbohydrate, you want to attach to fiber. If there is no fiber, chances are it's refined, processed. And those aren't the most healthful foods for you, right? I'm not saying you can't have them, because people kind of go all or nothing. Do not do all or nothing. This is what we do here at Plant Chicks. We do 90% whole foods that are healing to your gut, and we do 10% soul foods, and that's anything goes in your life. If you have to have that certain birthday cake, or some little treat or some chocolate, you do you. That is the beauty about having control of your nutrition and healing your body. Because you'll figure out pretty fast, when I was going through that processed food phase of my life for 30-something years, that when you start eating whole foods and you go back to eating processed foods, you don't feel good. All right, there's two transitions in your life that you're going to do. When you get off processed foods and you start adding whole foods, your gut microbiome is not going to be used to eating all this fiber, and it's going to change your gut microbiome. As you add more plants to your gut, it's going to change. You're going to get healthier, you're going to have more energy, and that's what you want to do. But you're also going to have side effects like gas and bloating, and that's totally normal because a lot of people are always like, oh my God, I'm adding all these plants and I'm gassy or I'm bloated. Don't worry, this is all perfectly normal when you transition to a plant-based lifestyle. When you transition to eat, I mean, even if you're not plant-based, when you add more fruits and vegetables, you're adding more fiber, it naturally makes you gassy. So you have to weather the storm until you change your gut microbiome. Now, when your gut microbiome changes, like I have been doing this for so long, when I go back to eating processed foods make me gassy and bloated, doesn't make me feel good, it makes me low energy, I'm tired, I want to crash. You start paying attention. Now it's the opposite of what I used to do. So I'm like, ooh. But not to say I won't have some treats. I do. I will have that chocolate chip cookie. I will have that pizza. But you got to have it small portions, moderate, a little bit, moderation you have to do. Keep it small. Don't go with the all or nothing mentality. Don't go with the binge mode. That food will be there. I promise you. It's like, enjoy yourself. You want to be present in the moment when you eat these foods, when you're enjoying it. If you're at a birthday party, when you have a birthday cake, really be present and mindful how it tastes, smells, feels, instead of just gobbling down a cake like you've never had cake before. So these are things to think about. And this is about living to 100. It's about being mindful, about enjoying the company that you're with, enjoying the food that you're eating. So I want you to think about that. Next time you eat, use all your senses, like when you're sitting there, how your food smells, how it tastes, really chew your food thorough. Instead of taking 1, 2, 3 bites and swallowing, digestion begins in the mouth. And if you're just chewing 1 or 2 times and swallowing, it's not getting digested very well. So you want to make sure you take your time, you chew, you give your brain, like your gut brain, your mind a second to catch up, like signals your brain when you're full, because you can eat a lot of calories super fast and still be hungry if your gut hasn't told your brain, hey, I'm full. So you want to make sure you have that time. That way you eat, I would say, less crap and more quality food, okay? All right, so let's make this dressing. That was a little side note about living to 100. Like I said, this is always a workshop. I'm here to educate you on the stuff that I know, and this is what has helped me in the past 11 years live a healthy lifestyle. And I'm all about living healthy in a hurry, and how can I make this nutritious and delicious, but also ample serving so I can make meal prep and portions to eat later on. Okay, so let's make our dressing. This is calling for a 1/2 cup of olive oil. But remember, we're not going to do olive oil. We are going to do the aquafaba juice. This is going to be your oil. And I know that some of you guys are like, what? This is crazy. She's crazy. But really, you're not going to know a difference. Seriously. Especially if you're eating healthy, if you want weight loss. You'll notice that eating healthy, when you take out oil and you add it back, your stomach starts getting upset if you add a lot of oil again. So you don't want to do that. Okay, so a few tablespoons of some balsamic vinaigrette. So we'll just go 1 and 2. And that's it. We're going to shake it. This is going to be the dressing. Now, here's a little fun fact. To amp this up, you can add garlic. You can add everything but the bagel seasoning in here for extra. You guys know I love my everything but the bagel seasoning. Or, you can just add salt and pepper. I'm going to add the salt and pepper after I plate this. Then I'll just sprinkle a little bit on. I don't want to put it in the dressing, but with this dressing, this will last about 5 days in your fridge. And think about that. How easy and how simple is that? And virtually there's no calories in it. So replacing olive oil or some type of, if you're making something savory, olive oil, this aquafaba is the best thing you do to replace olive oil. Okay, now while that's cooking, I'm gonna come up there really quick and see if we have any questions and say hi to you and see who is all on here. Hello, Ashley, how are you? Yes, a whole food lifestyle is a game changer. Carbs are your BFF, for sure. Oh my God, that's so funny. You guys, thank you guys for joining me on here. I just wanna see who else is on here. And let me know where you're from. I see there's some people on here. You said garlic breath for life. The hashtag, yes, garlic breath for life. Oh yeah, your potatoes, you like sweet potatoes, yes. The Japanese ones, those are so delicious. They're light, they're not too sweet. I like those too. Oh my goodness, yes. You're like, love the aquafaba tip. Yes, that's one of the tricks I've been doing for a while. My favorite is putting garlic in there. I put some pressed garlic, 2 of them, with that kind of portions, and everything but the bagel seasoning, shake it up, and that's what and some Dijon mustard, and that's what my husband and I put for dressing. He never knows, like he'll eat the salad, won't say anything about it. I'm like, I wonder if he noticed that it's not olive oil, it's really aquafaba juice. But he hasn't said anything, and it's been years, so it's always a good tip. All right, guys, so basically that is all I got for you today. I wanted to see who else was on here and wanted to meet you. I'm glad you enjoyed taking a little time from your day to see my meal prep and what I have going on. I hope you guys learned some tips and some tricks. Now don't forget, the Blue Zone book is below, and I put 3 or 4 of them in there. I've read all of them, it's kind of crazy. This is the cookbook, so I love, this is my prized possessions of this cookbook, because not one, the people live to 100, but number 2, the pictures in here. You guys have got to see these pictures. This book is just